Purpose of this workshop is to discuss how much food goes to waste. Well, let's see, how much are we really wasting? Is it really an issue here? Why does it happen? And what does it really matter? Is it really a problem here in the US and worldwide? And things we can do to reduce our food waste. Okay, so what we'll be talking about is just we can do making very small things. A lot of times when we think about these big problems and they just seem overwhelming, but there's a lot of times just in our home, just small things we can do to make these big problems be smaller, and we can make big changes, just simplifying. And also this will also not just help us reduce our waste, but we're simplifying our lives, not jamming everything in our fridge, not knowing what's in there, getting overwhelmed. I don't know what we're only going to eat. Let's just go out, but just really simplifying and saving money as well. So hopefully you guys will really appreciate what food waste prevention can help you and your family, and keep you from spending too much money on things and helping our valuable resources here in McHenry County. So how much food is wasted? You guys might be a little surprised on this. So let's take a look. Okay. All right. So here, this is from the EPA, but if you looked at our locally in McHenry County, we have our solid waste Prevention Act, and that there's strategic plan, and that's done every 10 years, and it's about the same. So if you can see in our landfills, 20% of our landfill is full of food, and food should never, ever be in the landfill. We will talk about later about the environmental impact of having food in the landfill. So, and then also you'll see what else is in our landfill, paper products, glass, plastics, and you might be thinking, how is that all in the landfill when I'm recycling this? But if you guys not understand how that all works, when here comes the recycling truck will go to a transfer station. In McHenry County, we do not have a landfill, but we have a transfer station. So the trucks go to the transfer station, and then big semis come and take it to the landfills. And so what happens is they'll just dump that, the recycling truck, and then they'll just estimate if it looks too contaminated, it all gets pushed into the landfill. So it's really important that we, really try to keep less contamination in our landfills and in our solid waste and in our recycling bins at home. So out of that 20% of that food that's in our landfills, where does it come from? Well, it comes from us. As you can see, 40% of the food in the landfill comes from our homes, which is a substantial amount. We're the ones wasting the food. We're the ones not properly composting our waste. The second, of course, is restaurants. A lot of restaurants do try very hard to reduce their waste on the back end, but it's usually us going in there, forgetting our leftovers or not finishing our meals, where we see a lot of that waste going. Okay, so why does the waste happen? Well, why are we wasting all this food? What's happening? Well, first of all, this is the amount of food that a family of 4 wastes in 1 month. It's a substantial amount of food. So as you can see, it says that we can waste about at least 18 pounds of grains. This is an average family of 4, 10 pounds of meat, and about 15 pounds of sweeteners, 22 pounds of fluid. So this is the average amount. Because if you think about so many times, I've heard friends joke around, why even buy the food? It's going to go straight into the garbage because we're going to waste it. So this is, if you really think about it, this is a substantial amount of food that's wasted by one family. And what about this food? Well, 70% of it could have been eaten. So most of the food that we're throwing away could have been eaten at one point in the time when it was in our home. And 30% you see wasn't. So 30% is just the garbage, the waste, the stuff that we could compost right away. But 70% are food. So that is 70% of the food. You think about it, that's we spent time at work to earn that money. We spent time going to the grocery store, waiting in line, unpacking this food, and we wasted, and there was edible food we never ever ate. So it just wants you to really think and how much just throwing away that banana is not just throwing away the banana, but the time and energy it took you, and and for the environment to grow that. So it's a big substantial impact on wasting food. So why are we trusting? So mostly like these were two studies, one from Oregon and one from the National Resource. They did look at, so most of it's moldy and spoiled. So yeah, so it was good at one time in our house, and then we waited too long and we didn't eat it. Another reason here, don't like it, tired of eating it. That is, a big problem. People get, we batch cook too much and we don't freeze it in time. That's another strategy. Just, if you do batch cook, doing freezing that food in time before it goes to waste. Or also, like, one strategy I used to do with my kids, leftovers were always, a battle. I know in your homes, if that's always a battle with you as well. So we would do a mommy's restaurant. And so we take all the leftovers and we would make a menu. And then I was a waitress and they got to order from the menu, and leftover nights were the funnest nights in our home. And a lot of times they would even dress up for leftover night. And I mean, my kids were in 6th grade and still asking for mommy's restaurant. So leftovers can be fun. They don't have to be bad. And then you can also see other reasons, past dates, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit as well. And then if it's just too small to save, that's another one of the big reasons. But mostly, as you can see, it's spoiled, and we're going to talk about reasons later on why we're going to stop spoiling our foods. All right, okay, so we're doing all this, but we all, like I said, we all hate waste. No one likes to throw good food that we once saw in our fridge, put it into the garbage. We don't like it. What's going on? Why are we doing this? One big reason is they're looking at we call it, our brain is just on automatic. So we're just not even thinking at the grocery store. We're not even thinking about food we take at restaurants or in cafeterias. We're not really processing exactly how much food we're taking. So it's really taking that step back and being like, okay, am I really going to eat all this food? Making that conscious effort. We make conscious efforts on so many other things we buy. We buy, cars we buy, clothes we buy. We're not doing that with food. And when I mean, it's usually at least $1,500 a year a family's at least wasting on food. And if you're going to buy something for $1,000, you're usually going to take your time. So, I encourage you to take that time with your food and think about how much you're buying, and not being so quick to just throw it in the cart. And also our dynamic lifestyles. Most of us are very busy people. We're not just, coming home and eating dinner. There's kids got sports, we have meetings, we're, doing different activities, or we're just not home in time to eat. We might feel like, oh, we're going to make all this food, and then things happen. So we always need to prepare, for those things, and realize we probably can buy less because we're not going to end up eating everything that we want to anyway. And these are additional barriers to food waste. So not enough information on what's on the reasons why food waste is an issue. So I'm hoping that barrier goes away today. And then time to learn new skills. So sometimes it's difficult for us to, okay, now I got to figure out, where does this go? Where does that go? What's the best way to store food? But there's some great apps we're going to go over that really would help you guys with that, and hopefully make it easier. Also, other challenges here: time needed to prepare fresh food. We're going to go over that as well, how we can make that time shorter for you, and then preference over one food type or another. So yes, sometimes we can get a little tired of eating that one food, and what can we do to kind of make that, changing things up, or, like I said, freezing that food just so we can eat it later. Okay, why wasting food matters? Why isn't even this is an issue? Is it really important? Is it really making a big impact? Well, actually, it's been a problem, and the government has been talking about this since World War II. So this is from World War II. This was a campaign about fighting the fight to join the ranks and fight the food waste. It's about buy to save, serve to save, store to save. So this has been an issue that the United States has been trying to work on for a very long time. So we're hoping that today you'll learn how to, toss less food away, eat better, and like, again, simplifying our lives. If you reduce the amount of food in your fridge and you can find the food that you buy, I think you'll be a little more easier and a little happy because you know exactly what you have and you're going to save that money. Now, how much is this really a big deal? Well, yeah, it is. It's costing us, this is from, and I double checked this number because I was like, this can't be right, but it is. So this is how much it's costing the United States. $444 billion in 2021 is what we lost in food waste. So this is not just the food that we lost, like it's not saying we lost $444 billion of food, but the food we lost and the energy we used to build that food and the retail, all the parts that going up to the food loss. That's what we lost. When this slide was first done in 2010, it was like 160 billion. So we've really jumped. We're still wasting lots and lots of food. So let's see here. What's actually, is it really going on? What's actually happening to that food waste, and what's happening annually to the United States? So like you said here, so that's 6 trillion gallons of water is wasted from that food. So this is not just the water that's used to, for the plants, to feed those animals, to also to process that food as well. So that's how much water we're losing annually for all the food waste that we do. And also it's at 665 billion kilowatts of energy. So this is the energy used to produce the food, the energy used to take the food to our stores. So it's not just the food going down in our garbage, but as you see, it's just impacting so many different parts of our economy and of our natural resources that wasting food is not just, like I said, it's not just a small thing. It really compounds everything. And then we're also wasting 139 million acres of land. So these are the land that was used to graze these animals or grow this food. It could be used for other resources, but it was used for food that was definitely end up wasted. And then lastly, 14 billion pounds of fertilizer each year is also wasted. And one thing yesterday was at a meeting with the Illinois Food Scrap Coalition. And so most of the fertilizer in the United States, it all comes from Russia and Ukraine. And the US is really working on trying to decrease that. So there have been some new grants coming out to help local people grow more fertilizer. And so there was a woman from Illinois, and she worked at audit restaurants, and she realized, wow, there's so much water, so much liquid waste that these restaurants and hotels are losing. So she had now developed, they got a big grant, and so now they're developing new fertilizer, fermenting that liquid into a fertilizer that they received a big grant. So it's one exciting thing that's happening now locally on trying to reduce the amount of fertilizer that's wasted. And also there was in the Chicago Tribune just this past January, they did talk about the fertilizer and how the runoff of that fertilizer is going down to the Gulf Coast and destroying the ocean, and most of it is from Illinois. So if we can just make those choices here in the United States, just here in Chicago and the McHenry County, if we can just try not to waste so much food, it's not just impacting us and what's happening in our local environment, but it's impacting all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico. Okay, so here we go. These are other climate consequences to food being lost. Okay, so 8% of our global emissions is from food waste. And so this is actually like, mostly it is the methane gas that comes from the food waste. So what happens when the food is in the landfills, it's not going to decompose correctly. It's going to grow more methane gas, which is actually a more severe greenhouse gas than carbon dioxide. And so this is causing 8% globally with our greenhouse emissions. And then, so, and also it talks about that most of that is not just the food in the landfill, but if you look at, like what I talked about earlier, about the food waste that comes from transporting and processing that food, that is, when we're wasting that food and then wasting those emissions as well. And like we were putting that other slide, most of the food waste, that that, in the United States, that's the most common material in our landfill, and it should never go there. We're going to talk about what our local haulers are doing about that and how we can stop getting that food into the landfills. And then lastly, so let's see, food is, yeah, so the 70% of the US methane emission comes from our landfill. So of all the emissions from methane gas, so it's 17% is coming from our landfills, which should not be there if there would be no methane in there if there was no food. So these are strategies. So this is what would keeping you food from going to waste do for you? So this is, oh, I don't know what happened. So sorry, I got a little messed up there. Yeah. So this is just things for you to discuss, to think about. If you're not wasting food, what's it going to do for you personally? Well, I think personally it'll help you have a little more organized home and a little more money in your pocketbook. What's it going to do for the environment? We're going to put less methane gas in the environment. And what's it going to do for our community? We're not going to fill our landfills as quickly. So there are no new landfills that are going to be built in Illinois or Wisconsin. There's no plans. And if you looked at our solid waste strategic plan for McHenry County, most of our landfills will be closed in 10 years. And like I said, there's no plan to make another one. So what's going to happen? So now our waste even has to go farther. Right now, our waste is going to Rockford, it's going to Wisconsin, it's going to downstate Illinois. So if we can decrease the amount of food waste that we have and the amount of waste in our landfills, it's also going to help our community. And our prices for our haulers will not go as fast as we thought they would. So here we go, strategies to reduce food waste. So hopefully I haven't scared you. I feel like it's a horrible thing, but it is something that we're passionate about here in the Defenders, but there's such easy things we can do to help reduce our food waste. So this is just a little food hierarchy. So this is from the EPA. I want to talk about what's the best things to do, for food recovery. So the most important thing is the source reduction. So where the food is coming from. So the food from our home, the food from the restaurant, let's stop it there from getting wasted. And so if there is extra food, and the next step would be feed hungry people, feed animals, and then industrial use, and then composting, and then lastly to the landfill. So as you can see, there's a lot of steps, places the food can go before it goes to the landfill. And I'm hoping that you guys can help, decrease that food in the landfill, and just simply by, just that first step. But we're going to talk about ways to what's going on here in McHenry County to get not just perishables, because you get perishables to be donated. All right. So the first thing is there's 4 key things that they have put in here. So first thing, buy what you need. Sounds simple, but like I said, most of us do buy more. So one study that was done, McHenry, that it is a company that does looking at food. They make apps, and when the latest app they did was on food waste. So they had 7,000 people in this study who were just weighing their food and asking them if they did grocery lists. So great, 76% of us makes grocery lists. That's great. But only 16% of us actually stick to the list. So that's one thing about buying what you need, sticking to that list. And one other strategy that helps that and also helps the environment another way, bring your reusable bags. If you make your list and you're like, okay, this is probably going to fit 2 bags of food, I'm going to bring two bags. And then that's all the food I can fit in my that I'm going to use. So that those little strategies hopefully will help you to think about just to buy what you need. And a big thing is to, they always say, shop your home first. Before you even get to the store, before you even get there, see what you have in your home. A lot of times you probably can wait a few days to go to the grocery store. You might have enough in your house already before even making it to the grocery store. All right. All righty. And then next strategy would be, smart storage, keeping fruits and vegetables fresh. So we were going to, this is super important, looking at where you should be storing your food. So inside the fridge, these are the the fruits and vegetables we should have inside our fridge. So our apples, our berries, our cherries, our melons, our avocados, and also, of course, like all our green vegetable, as in like lettuce as well. And then outside, those are what should be outside. And big thing too, most of you might know, but it's a good reminder, potatoes and onions should always be separate in a cool, dark place. With our herbs, it's good to put them, make them look like a plant, putting them like with in water in a little jar helps as well. And then these are just little storage tips down there. So if you like to, like your fruit room temperature, just take it out earlier as possible. Considering the storage bags as well. A good thing to do, is putting some of those vegetables in a good storage bag with a paper towel does help as well, keeping those things smart. And then and also, where does the food go in your fridge? So this is a great little diagram. So this is exactly telling you where your food should go. So of course, and the top is your freezer. And then the next level should be your leftovers, because that's going to be one of the colder things. And so that's food that's probably been in your fridge a little bit longer, or it's already half eaten. So you want that first top row, those should be all your leftovers. And then the second row, you can see your dairy products. And the one important thing too is to keep that circulation around the food. We don't want to crowd our food too much, because that's going to help it spoil more quickly. So we want to make sure we don't overcrowd our fridge. And then we have meat, and then the bottom, of course, we have in our crisper drawers, we have our fruits and vegetables. And there's all those diagrams on there. So one thing always remember, high and low humidity. High humidity is always for your wilty fruits and vegetables. So things that can get wilty, like your leafy greens, carrots, spinach, arugula, broccoli, things that will wilt, you want your high humidity. Things that will rot, that's when you want low humidity. It's just those simple things. Just think, will it get wilty if it stays in my fridge too long, or will it rot? And that's all you need to know for high and low humidity, and it should help you keep your food a little bit longer in the fridge. Okay, we talked about the over, and then it also talks, of course, not leaving the fridge open for too long as well. We all would know that's going to waste more energy. And what else can be done with the fridge? What else can be done? This is some new products that are out. This is what we're going to be raffling off today. They're called Blue Apples. And so what it is, it actually absorbs all the ethylene gas. The ethylene gas is what causes the rot of your food in your fridge. And so this you would put in your crisper drawer, and it guarantees to last your food 3 times longer. They can't really say an exact time, just because we can't really know if that apple was picked, was it ripe, was it not, where the food was picked in the ripening stage. So they try to they will say 3 times longer. I do use these in my fridge, and they work really, really well. And so like I said, I have one to raffle off, and hopefully it makes it a change. And then also if you might even already have this in your fridge. So I just have a new fridge, and I have KitchenAid, and it does have, it's the same thing, but it comes on the side of your fridge. And let me tell you, it is a game changer. My fruits and vegetables last so much longer. I always think, and everything is still fresh. So if you have this in your fridge, definitely put that filter in there. They're good for 3 months. If you ever need a new fridge, this is one thing that will definitely make a big difference of using this little product. I think other companies do have it as well. Just kind of, it's one thing to shop around for if you need a new fridge. One other option, other strategy to do, what we call prep now, eat later. So if you can get those vegetables ready before the day to cook, it does make a huge difference. A good strategy, what I normally do is when I come home from the grocery store, because I'm usually, that day I've spread out time, I take my vegetables and I'll chop them up, like a lot of times, usually my peppers and onions. I know I'm going to cook that week. I chopped them up, so they're ready in my fridge. So when day after work, I can just skip that step. This is a great thing for if after school with the kids, okay, kids, especially those fifth and sixth graders, they're taking home ec at school, or your kid's about to go off to college. It's a good skill for them to learn. It could be a good chore for them to do these little meal preps for them. So just prepping those little things, and because if you think about it, you've come home, it's late, and oh, I gotta cut this and I gotta do that. Well, this will when you have the time after you went to the grocery store, just to make these tiny little, taking the 10 minutes here to do this, we'll save those 10 minutes later and save that food, and you hopefully will then eat it. And okay, this is from Lean Path. They're another company like Blue Apple that they help restaurants actually reduce their food waste. So these are their 10 top tricks to save food. So of course, plan ahead. We talked about that. Planning your meals makes a big difference. I'm sure you guys have noticed the weeks that you've planned out your meals and the ones that you don't, that you've spent less money and wasted less food. And always plan for at least one day of leftovers. We all know we're going to have leftovers. And I told you about my little strategy before. If you don't have kids, maybe if you can, there's a lot of great apps about what to do with leftovers, changing things up just to make that food a little more, tasty again, or freezing. I mean, I think people forget how much stuff you can freeze, and that can just save it for another day. Buying loose products. So if you buy more loose products, you probably, hopefully, will buy less of that product. The more that buy just what you need, not what the store thinks you need. Like I said before, making your herbs like flowers, putting them in water. Organizing your fridge. That's huge too. We talked about that already, about where the food should go and avoiding that clutter. So you can see what you have, and then the airflow is better and the food will stay fresher. I'm going to show you the next slide. There's, you can even have a section where you eat first. So have a section, especially if you have kids at home. Okay, kids, this is the food that needs to eat first, and that way everyone knows that this is the food that's been in the fridge the longest, and this is what we need to go buy. And just looking also at dates, actually there is no standards for dates in the U.S. Each state has their standards of what should be labeled on our foods. If it should say use by, best before. So right now there is some legislation to change. There is a bill coming up in Congress. I think it's still in the committees, but it is to make it a more national guidelines for this, which would make things easier, because it is confusing. Use by is, yes, use by that date. Normally, you still have a few days after that to use it. I know I used to volunteer at the Algonquin food pantry, and we did take some expired foods, because it does, even though it says expired, you still have a couple months of it still being a viable food. And then best before is only telling you that it will taste better. You can still use it. It's just the highest quality is that best before date. So hopefully things will change and we can have more national standards, and we can all, whatever state we live in or we, travel, we know exactly what those dates mean, and not having those random, numbers on there that we don't know what they mean. So Lean Path, they do recommend. I have never used this app, Handpick, but it just helps you build recipes. I've used Big Oven just once. It's fun. You just put in what you have in your house, and they give you recipes of what to make. So another, just using clear containers, so it's easier to see, obvious. Then especially for teenagers who do always like just to open the fridge and then close it and not really see what's there. So making it easier for family who don't like to actually look all over the fridge. Another great thing if you don't want to compost your vegetable scraps or your protein scraps, great to make freezer stock. You just take a freezer, like a gallon freezer bag. I do this all the time, and I just fill it up with my vegetable scraps. And then once it's full, I put in a big stock of water and just simmers for about 20 minutes, and you have free vegetable stock. Or you can do that with your bones to make to make some chicken stock as well. So this is a great saver, because a lot of times, we will need that in a recipe and not have it at home. So this is a great way. And this can be, you're going to freeze all that in your freezer, not taking room in the fridge. And then you can also even freeze your stock. I do that all the time, and just use as needed. And just making sure too about storing things right away in the right place. And then, so tracking your food waste, and that's another thing that you can talk about later, using, there's certain apps you can use if you really want to track your food waste. And then, so we eat what you buy. So this, like I said before, this is one of their last strategies about just eating first, having that section. So in your fridge, or just consciously knowing that what you've bought and what's in there. Like I said, we spend, we all work really hard for our money. And that's precious time we spend away from our families that we're earning this money. And just to buy, hundreds of dollars of food, and that's a few hours of of our time at work, and to and just to have that wasted away. I try to look at it that way, not just the food, but the time that you earned away, the time that took you to earn the money for that food, and the time it took you to buy that food, and just to waste it. I mean, we wouldn't do that with other things. We wouldn't, just let our car run and run and run for no reason. But we do this with our food, because I think it changes so quickly. But if we kind of think about it as such a precious commodity as other things we buy, I'm hoping that you guys will change your attitude about the food waste. So the EPA is asking everyone to do the food waste challenge. So to use those 4 strategies, I just want to go over them again. So the 4 strategies of, so we're going to smart shopping. So we're going to buy what we need. And then we're going to store smart. We're going to put the things exactly where they should be. And then also we're going to prep our food. So we save time. And then lastly, we're going to make sure we eat that food. So the EPA is asking everyone, if you guys, you can do it, you can go ahead, really try these strategies, or if you want to wait and then just see how much food you waste, and then start these strategies and see what the difference is. And it'd be good to see what happens to everyone with this. So this is they have a little bag that you can order, and then you can actually put your food waste in there. So I've talked a lot about what's happening in the home, but what's happening in other places. We don't just waste food at home. There's also food waste at school. So our team also has been working with an organization called 7 Generations Ahead. They worked with schools on food waste. And I want you to know what's been going on here in McHenry County. It's pretty exciting. There's been some really great efforts, and the amount of food waste that the schools are working on. Okay, so the first thing that we've done with the school is that we've done a waste audit. So we'll come in one day, and then the kids will have to separate their waste. We make a little assembly line, so we make sure that when they're done with their lunch, that they put the liquids. So we have one for liquids, recycling, landfill, things that have to go into the garbage, and then compost, things that could be composted. So we separated all the food so the kids can really see how much is wasted, and it really opened their eyes. I was at one of them, and the kids actually said they were mortified on how much was waste when they find, instead of just tossing that one, all their tray into the garbage, to see it separated, see all the food, it was really eye-opening to them. So this is one measure that we start off with, doing the audit, so the school can see and the kids can see how much food is wasted, and what can we do to stop the food waste. And so and the other strategy that to go along with this is that's up there is a shared table. But before we even get to this point, so we look at this and like, all right, this is how much food is wasting. How can we stop it in, like we say, source reduction? So with the schools, it's what we call offer versus serve. So this is it's an Illinois state law that that schools can give only 3 components. So if for a school to get the money back, to be considered a school meal, so they get reimbursed, it was normally thought there's 5 components to that school meal. However, Illinois law is they need to be offered 5, but they only need to take 3 for it to can count as a school meal. And this has been a game changer. So the kids are not taking food on their plate that they know they won't eat, especially in the high school level. I mean, I remember my kids are like, I'm not going to eat it. And they're like, you have to take it. And, just battling with the lunchroom lady, like, you have to take it because they will not get reimbursed for that meal. So this is, we're trying to get this implemented in most of the schools right now, that they do this offer versus serve, because offer versus just doing this one, I mean, it's not just stopping the food waste, but the school is saving money. The kids are not taking food that they won't eat, because once it's served, they cannot serve it again. And then, so with any extra food on that table, we, at home, or I mean, any food that's from a kid who had lunch at home or on their table there at the school, grabbed a school lunch, we're doing shared tables. So this is for foods, of course, that are closed, sealed, products like yogurt or milk, a bag of apples, a bag of carrots, or whole fruits, nothing that's been opened. That of course, that we contaminate, but they have a shared table and it's left there on the side. So any child who might be food insecure can take that home, or if a kid, same thing, this just didn't have enough for lunch at their that their parents brought home, they can go to that shared table, or even after school. I mean, how many times, I mean, my kids played sports, and if there was that shared table where they can, have that a little extra food, to get through that sport, that is very helpful. So using these strategies, it made big changes in schools. So this is what happened at Canterbury and Lundell. So they looked at what was wasted. So switching over to just those 2 strategies of offer versus serve, and then doing the shared tables, that a reduction of 75% of food was from the food waste. So it was a huge amount. So the amount of over 6,000 meals could be saved by doing these 2 strategies. As you saw in like that in one of the pictures earlier, where they look, there's let me go back. So that's the lunchroom lady. So that's one of Carrie. She's one of on our team. And when they first started doing before they did offer versus serve, they're just doing the shared table, 70 bags of carrots were left at one school. And after doing the offer versus serve, it was a handful. So it made a huge difference. And the school, and of course the company that serves, was very excited that these changes can save so much money. All right, and then so not just the schools, but what's happening government wise. So these are just things that have happened in the United States. So actually Honolulu was the first this is the first action in the United States to reduce food. So in 1997, their law was requiring recycling of food. So they wanted to make sure that the food would always have a second life, that's never just sold in the landfill, that restaurants, schools needed to find another option for the food before throwing it away. In 2012, you see Vermont banned food waste in their landfills. And then in 2022, California banned all organics in the landfill. So in California now, everything's like any carry out food, like if you go get coffee at Starbucks, or if you are getting food from a restaurant that's carry out, everything they carry out is compostable, and there's no food that goes into their garbage. Every person has a garbage, recycling, and composting in their homes now. It's not the law passed, I know, in 2022. I'm not sure if it's 100% all been implemented. I think by 2025 it'll all be implemented. And then and also, Alaska, they have no restrictions on food scraps to animals. A lot of states do. I know Illinois does. That's where looking at, usually it's food scraps that come from like the food, like here from the food pantries. There's a lot of there's some restrictions, and we're trying to work with that as well, that less food can be wasted and go to the animals. laws here in Illinois, that's things that are actually now that are in committee. There's one bill that is it's a Senate bill, and what it is that if there's more than 3,500 people in an event, that the event is required to have composting and recycling. So that's one of the big bills that's coming up, and also to stop the banning of compost bins and rain barrels, that sometimes HOAs will ban those. So to stop that ban, and then just for Illinois to build a new policy. So we're looking for Illinois just to build more policies on food waste. So that's what's happening here in Illinois. And this is what's other things that are happening. And then, so what's happening, not just in Illinois, but what are we doing here to help reduce food waste and help to reduce that methane gas? Well, one thing is in Chicago, and we're trying to do it out here, it's called the Love Fridge. So they have them all over Chicago, in New York, and in Evanston. The people in Evanston have been working with us, great collaboration, giving us great ideas on how we can do this here in McHenry County. So what is a Love Fridge? What is the community fridge? Well, here's one. So this is one in Chicago. And so what it is just a fridge where you can put in any, closed perishable items, and it is 100%. There's no restrictions. So you take what you need and you give what you can. And people worry, the main concern was always, contamination or spoilage. The food does not last. The people in Evanston and Chicago say they can't keep them full enough. So this is a great option, to help reduce food waste in the community. We're trying to get them here in McHenry County. I did get a grant to help get this going. So we're hoping to get one. Actually, it's a little more difficult just because, you think about the city of Chicago, Evanston, there's more multi-use area, multi-unit areas where there are, there's businesses, homes, or a lot of people can walk and, on the way home can look at the fridge or fill it up. So we're looking more of working with other organizations. So we're hoping Warpcore, we're trying to work with them. They have a community fridge. They do a lot of after school programs and working with doing other classes for people. And so hoping that they actually get a lot of people giving them food that they have nowhere to put. So we're trying to work with them to do our first community fridge here in McHenry County. So if you know of a great place for a community fridge, we're always open for new ideas. And then this is one thing our team we did this last year, our race to reduce waste. So to help, what should we do with that food waste? And we're really worked hard on trying to reduce that. So in McHenry County, before this program, only one restaurant composted, not any other restaurant composted. Most of our restaurants don't even recycle. So we really were working on getting that reduction. And we were very lucky that we did get a grant through Eco Products. Eco Products is a company that make compostable plates, cups, and takeaway containers, and Waste Not. They are a hauler that just does composting. They've come now here to McHenry County. So working with them, Eco Products gave us some money. So what we did was we went around to different restaurants and we got 14 to sign up for composting, and with that money, a discounted rate for the initial composting. And as of today, we still have about 10 doing it. So it's pretty exciting that it wasn't just a small pilot program, that is still going on today. And this is what these were composting cards that we gave out to our consumers. So I'm so sorry I forgot them today, but we have them at the Defender's office. So if this is something that you feel like this is passionate for you, we have lots of these cards, and when you go out to eat, you can drop it off at a restaurant and asking them, we want you to compost. And in that 1 month, this is just in 1 month of those 14 restaurants composting. So that was 4,800 pounds of waste diverted from our landfills. And that also came out to 116 gallons of gas, because Waste Not is only electric vehicles. So that saved 116 gallons of gas of that food going to the landfill, which also if you're looking at that energy saving, it's about the same as saving 3,000 miles in the car. So just these small changes, this is what can happen. And these were a lot of the restaurants that did do it with us. A lot of them are in Crystal Lake. Duke's Ale House was a pioneer in this program, and then Vine and Flake, Cantina 52, a few of the Dunkin' Donuts, Crystal Lake Brewing. All our breweries do compost their spent grain. So it's good to see that there is some movement here in McHenry County to get this done. And so this is just why compost. Well, like we said before, we're helping reduce our gases, extending that life of our landfills. And one thing too, you might be thinking, oh, wow, I should probably really compost. If you live in Algonquin, unfortunately, Groot does not allow you to put food waste in your yard waste. If you live in Crystal Lake, if you live in a lake in the hills, those haulers do allow you can put your food scraps, actually almost all of them in. If you have Flood Brothers, you can put absolutely all your food waste, your meat, your bones, every single food waste with your yard waste, and it goes to Midwest Organics to turn into compost. If you have Groot, absolutely none. And it's unfortunate because if you live in other towns with Groot, they have their actual yard waste goes to compost, but unfortunately here in Algonquin, it does not. So you can do backyard composting. We have some videos on that if you're interested in learning about backyard composting. Okay, where can you learn more? If you hopefully I've inspired you, hope you've learned some, but want to learn more. Right here. So these are some really good websites. So Save the Food is phenomenal. Save the Food is really, really good. It goes over every single fruit and vegetable, how to preserve it correctly, gives you more of those tips that you saw that I presented today. The Wasted Food Action Alliance, another great organization that like I said, that we have partnered with. And also you can look in today, because since it is Food Prevention Week, Food Waste Prevention Week, there's other seminars that are happening throughout the state, and you can looking at that. Yeah, so there's the website for the food waste, and then also Food Waste Action Alliance, and then here's from the EPA as well. This is the food waste scale, their sustainable management, where all this information that I went over came from. And then lastly, here's some apps you can use. Flash Food, this is really fun. This is Myers is involved in this. This is where you can find a bunch of like fruits and vegetables. Normally like sometimes in the store they're wrapped up and they're at a very low price. So this same concept, it's only at Myers right here. So you can sign up for this app and then you can get some fruits and vegetables at low prices. Too Good to Go is a really great app as well. Also, just moving here in McHenry County, it's huge in the city. If you have friends or family in the city, it's a really good app. So what happens is restaurants, they have food that they cannot serve tomorrow, but still good today. You can sign up and you can get they have the packaged food, you can see what it is, and you would go pick it up. Though I know Elle's Bakery, the bagel place, they do it here in McHenry County, and I can't remember there's another, I forgot what the other restaurant is, but there's just starting here, Too Good to Go. The USDA Food Keeper, that's a great app. Again, that's gonna, just like Save the Food, going over strategies on how to keep your food in your fridge as long as possible. And then this Meet Your Food Waste, that's if you love science, you love numbers, and you want to track your food waste and be involved in this study, this is a Meet Your Food Waste app. You can measure your food daily and you can get involved in that study that they are a national study they're working on food waste. So that is it. So I just want to thank you guys for coming. This is our email address if you have any questions about food waste. If you thought like you guys seem so amazing and want to join our team, we're always looking for more volunteers, or if you just want to join the Defenders, we're always looking for people just to spread the word. You just want to read our newsletter and see what's going on. We really appreciate that as well.
So Cecilia, we
Yeah.
have a question
Okay.
from Sandy. If
Mhm.
you can repeat the question so they can hear at home. Do these establishments have signs that they compost? I visit these over the ones that don't.
I don't know. No, they do not. They can, there is, through the Illinois Food Scrap Coalition, there's an they have, recognition with that. It's called We Compost, and they can get signs. That's something that we probably should, work on to get them to, because they just they need to sign up with We Compost, and then they'll send them the sticker. But yes, I will work on that. So, yeah.
If you think it should help the restaurants to get more business, if they would, if people are worried about that and then they see that, they're like, oh, let's eat here.
Right, yeah, hopefully, yeah. When we did the campaign, we did do a campaign when we had that going on. We did, when people visited the restaurants, then we did give out some prizes at the end, for people who visited. There are people who visit all the restaurants that did compost, and so we did give out prizes at that time with that. So yeah, so we should probably just kind of highlight that again, so people know who's composting and who's not.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna give out the prize to see let's see who wins, who's got good food, less food waste this week. It is Pam Elliott.
She's at home.
She's at home. Welcome, Pam. Here you go. Here's your little blue apples. Here you go. The other companies that do this, I went to talk and they spoke, and it's really cool. They even do for restaurants, the material that they use, like the big refrigerators. They'll have a whole filter there to kind of keep the fridges from spoiling the food. So yeah, I hope this works out for you, and I hope you'll help with the food waste for you.
I'll let her know.
All right. All right, well, thank you. Oh, yeah, one more question.
Okay, sometimes, not just me, everybody, try and do the right things.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times it seems like one step forward, one step back. Like, oh, you go to a restaurant,
Mm-hmm.
bring your own, you're never
Yeah.
gonna finish the pasta.
Right.
dinner. Won't allow you to bring your own containers, won't allow it.
Yeah.
Because it's like, well, if you bring your own containers, you're not taking your take-home container.
Right.
Then you think that's a great thing. They won't allow it. Then there was this thing that, recycle your electronics.
Mm-hmm.
One day or two out of the year, you can drop off your electronics. People are waiting half an hour in line with their car running the whole half
Yeah.
hour to drop off their electronics and move one car off.
Yeah.
So you're trying to help the environment by dropping off your electronics, in an environmentally best way. And 40 people wasted half an hour of gas trying to do that.
Yeah.
So, and another thing was like, okay, share your food.
Mm-hmm.
There's the whole peanut thing. No one can touch, a kid's allergic to peanut. He can't even sit at the same table as kids who might have something peanut butter or something else. It's like you try and do something, and now there's always this pushback, like reasons you can't accomplish it. And that's what I've been coming across a lot.
Well, the good thing is, like the things that you were talking about, like about containers, that's actually up. Also, that's another bill I didn't talk about in Illinois. So if that's your passion about, please talk to your state rep or state representative, senator, because that is a bill that's come up about allowing you to use your own container at a restaurant. So that's something that, hopefully, we don't want to use that plastic, but yeah, that bill is up as well. And then also certain haulers have e-recycling. Like most of us are waiting in line because our hauler doesn't do it. That's another thing to talk to your local, go to your meetings. I mean, I used to be the village clerk. No one shows up. Well, like Flood, we do once a month. They will take your e-recycling. I don't have to wait in line because once a month I can do it from my curbside. So, because in Illinois, you're not allowed to, the law was that you're not allowed to put e-waste into the landfill, but the haulers weren't mandated to take that. So yeah, so that's why we're stuck in line. So that, yes, there's all these obstacles, but there's certain ways that, if people like us spoke up more and demanded that, hopefully these things would change. And there is also that in Crystal Lake, the Elgin recycling, you can drop off a recycling there at any time. And a lot of things they pay you for, like get a $1.50 for your Christmas lights.
I had trouble trying to drop off a TV one time.
Oh,
Nobody wanted it.
yeah.
You know, and if you wait for that once a year thing, you know, they'll take it once a year, like I said, a half hour.
Yeah, well, one thing too that, because I'm on the Board of Health and we talked about it, and they're doing now more appointments for that, so to decrease the line, they do realize that, that people don't want to wait an hour, they're not going to come back. So now they're trying to do more appointments, and that way it can get the line to go through. Yeah, sorry.
This restaurant though, I went to Red Lobster and I didn't ask them if I could bring my own container. I just brought it in a bag, and when I was done, I put it in the thing and I stuck it in my bag and I walked out.
Yeah.
Well, after I paid.
Yeah. That's good. Glad you paid.
You
Yeah.
can't go in and order it to go, they can't take your container for whatever their contamination reason,
Oh.
but and for the past 5 years, I've always brought my own container to restaurants
Yeah.
all over.
And
Yeah.
you never got anything like,
No,
oh,
Yeah.
we
they-
give it to you in our
Oh, no,
container.
they
No.
can't,
They don't
can't
have to
you.
give it to you because you could take it straight off the plate when
Yeah.
you're done eating and stick it in your container. Like,
Yeah.
you don't have to ask them, here, can you take this in the bag
Yeah.
and then put it in there.
Yeah.
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 Think about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I have a collapsible one I can keep in my purse, so.
I just had one more thing.
Oh,
about,
sure.
Like using your food scraps to feed animals,
Mhm.
like outside, just throw it.
No, it's usually what, for a lot of ours, I know Crystal Lake and I know Algonquin, Food Pantry, they have, relationships with local farmers. And so the food that's like, that they can't give to the, hand out to residents, that, they come and they take it for the animals.
Oh, okay. I thought
Yeah.
you meant, like feed your backyard. critters.
No,
Yeah,
no,
that's what I thought. I was like,
no, so sorry, no,
You
no,
just
no.
co-host.
Yeah.
Because I heard something about raccoons that you really don't want them near your house.
Yeah.
There's a parasite in raccoon poop that could get you really sick.
Oh, okay. All right. But no, this is just, this food weight that the farmers, they can do relationship with farmers to get. So, yeah. All right.
Okay.
Well, thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
I hope you guys learned something.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank
sure.
you.
Sure.